1 in 3. That's how many American men will face physical violence, sexual assault, or stalking by an intimate partner. 1 in 3 women worldwide will endure physical or sexual abuse, most often by someone they know. But domestic abuse isn't just bruises. It's manipulation, it's fear, it's control that seeps into every part of your life. I'm Ingrid Dutton, and I survived it. Then I created 1 in 3 so no one else has to suffer in silence. Each week, we break that silence together. Occasionally joined by survivors, loved ones, and experts, we talk about the pain, yes, but also about the healing, resilience, and the fight to reclaim your life. This podcast is more than awareness, it's a lifeline. And a reminder, you are seen, you are heard, you are never alone. Search for 1 in 3 wherever you get your podcasts, because every voice matters and every story deserves to be heard. Maternal mental health disorders include such things as depression, anxiety, and psychosis, which occur during pregnancy and or afterward, which is called the perinatal or postpartum period. These disorders can be caused by a combination of biological, psychological, and social stressors. Left untreated, the results can be devastating. Anxiety and depression are the most common and affect 1 in 5 women. Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning, sister.
Sister.
Good morning, sister.
So obviously we're talking about, I'm just going to skip right past.
Oh, no, go right ahead. I was going to ramble on about something.
Obviously we're talking about maternal mental health because of our intro.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of things. Oh, do you know why we're talking about maternal mental health?
I don't know. I was going to say I do, and then no. No, why?
K-N-O-W or N-O? That's why I'm confused.
My no was N-O. I was going to say I do, and then I just realized, no, you don't. So just say no.
Okay. Well, the reason is, one, obviously there's not enough attention brought to maternal mental health.
Oh, I agree.
So hopefully that's going to change because there is World Maternal Mental Health Day, which according to postpartum.net is occurring May 4th of this year.
Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
And maternal mental health. And according to 2020mom.org, there's an actual week which started yesterday, Monday, May 2nd, and is running until Sunday, May 8th. This also the same page, which we'll hear a little bit about the Blue Dot Project. They are doing a social media campaign running from Monday, May 2nd through Friday, May 6th. We have a situation that Chelsea so kindly actually reached out to us and asked to do this topic, and she was willing to share her situation. We are going to hear from her, and then after that, I'll share a few more known cases.
Sounds good.
So here's Chelsea.
Oh, jeez.
Jessica, this is Chelsea.
Hey.
I think
Chelsea,
we met
Jessica.
briefly, like at church, maybe.
Yes.
I think we did too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember
Because
when.
I think
Was it Christmas?
It was around Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like hard to talk about. So it like I share things on social media and people can kind of see that like I care about mental health, but it's a completely different thing, like putting your whole life out there to people who don't necessarily know. And then it also just feels like, I was telling my husband this too. I was like, it feels really awkward to just talk about myself on Facebook. And this goes back to, I was saying Andy had like legitimate questions. He said, I've only had babies with you. So is this like a normal thing and no one talks about it? Or like, was your situation worse? And you don't know because no one talks about it.
Right.
And that's what we're here for. I mean, that's honestly one of the reasons we wanted to do this, is because so many people have different situations and experiences that you feel kind of alone. And if you read the textbooks or if you read articles, like, okay, other people are going through this, but are those, like, I don't know anybody in my little circle that's gone through this.
Or that openly talks about it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the openly talking about it that's the harder part. But I guess I'll get started, and my story starts in November 2018. That is when I had my second son. And I believe both of you have multiple children, so you can kind of relate. Like, the next one is just easier. Like, I was on cloud 9 after I had Cameron. I knew what I was doing. Like, I had a planned C-section, so there was no guessing. Like, he latched, he slept, he ate. He was just like an angel child. And I had that like very instant bond with him that everyone says you have with kids, but I didn't get with my first because I was so stressed out with having a baby the first time around. So with Cameron, it was just like, I felt so just comfortable and proud of myself and happy. And then it started with like a very innocent comment someone made to me, and it was something about work, and they didn't mean it this way at all, but it sent me into a panic attack. And that's like the first moment I realized that things were starting to go downhill. Like, it just wasn't, I didn't feel good after that. And then the next week, Cameron got thrush. And then I got thrush. And then I gave it back to Cameron. And so it just felt like a series of like bad events that were just building on top of it. And I remember it was Christmas Eve, and I was just sitting there like staring off into space. And my husband, Andy, asked what was wrong. And I was just like, I don't feel good. And so I think it's important to note, like, I've had depression and anxiety throughout my life. So I knew what it felt like. And I think that's important to know. Like, some people don't realize it's happening, but I realized it was happening. And it was just, it felt like everything was just tumbling downhill and it was getting out of control. And it just like I said, just a series of weeks where it was like, I don't feel good. I'm not feeling good. I told my doctor right away, which was helpful because I could get on medicine. Like, I knew something was wrong. And then like January came, and like something went wrong with my disability paycheck. And so it's just all those things you don't need to be worrying about that kind of were adding to my already poor mental health situation. And so I feel lucky that I know what was wrong. So I knew this time, like, I need to go on medicine. Like, I need to get this under control. And I thought, okay, this is good. I'm on medicine. It's going to start working. Like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to go back to work. Like, everything will be better once I go back to work and get into a normal schedule. Well, right before I went on maternity leave, I actually accepted a new role. So I wasn't just going back to my same old job. I was going back to a completely new job. And this new job required me to be on the phone a lot and to be in a lot of meetings. And if there's anything like people who are depressed know, like, talking to people is just impossible. So I'm going into this role and I like have to answer the phone all the time and I have to talk to people all the time. And it was just like so draining on top of already not feeling good. And so after a little bit more, like I got more medicine. I thought, okay, like, it'll start evening out. I'll start feeling better. And it just never happened. It just kept getting worse and it kept getting worse. And then I was in this job situation that was just making it worse. And so I just remember I would go to work. I would go in the break room to pump and I would just bawl my eyes out. And then I was like, okay, well, I don't want anyone to know that this is going on. Like, I don't want this to affect my job. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. So I would like wipe my tears and give myself a pep talk and go right back out to work and pretend like nothing was wrong. And this probably went on for like months before I even felt the need to tell my boss. And so I had felt comfortable enough with my boss to say something. So I did finally say something. And he was, he didn't know how to react, but he tried his best to like tell me what's available for me. Like, oh, like you qualify for disability and we have EAP, like said all the right HR things, which, that's what he's going to do. But like, I don't think what anyone realizes is like how much I was faking that it wasn't affecting me. And so I just kept going on and acting like nothing was wrong. And I would go home and I would just sleep for hours. I couldn't do anything. Like my house was always a mess. I couldn't put my kids to bed. Like I would literally feed Cameron and I would sit and I would just like stare into space. And like, cause I was using all of this energy to pretend I was okay at work. And it came to a head after I had like several just very difficult weeks at work. And I was like going to my bosses and I was saying, like I'm trying really hard. I don't think it's affecting me. And they were very nice about it, but they almost made me feel like, well, it is affecting your work and we know that something's wrong and we all know that you're stressed out. And like, so I just had this like feeling of, oh my God, like I'm a bad mom because I can't take care of my kids when I go home. Like I'm a bad wife because all I do is sleep and our house is never clean. And so I had thrown just everything into being good at my job. And I was told, oh, you're not good at your job either. And that's not what they said at all. Like, I don't want it to come across that my employer was bad. They weren't. But it was just like too much. And I just remember like at that point going home and thinking like, I don't even want to live anymore. Like, I don't even like, if I'm just such a bad human, like I shouldn't be here. And I think I admitted this to my husband. And he probably doesn't even know this. I said something, I pretended to go to sleep. And I remember him just like coming in, thinking I'm asleep and like squeezing and hugging me and kissing me and saying, I love you. And then I feel worse. Like, oh my gosh, look what I'm putting my poor husband through. Like he doesn't know what to do either. He has like 3 children now. And so it was weird. And I just came to this decision. I was like, well, I had like just a nervous breakdown. I was like, I can't do this at work anymore. I can't be a good parent. Like, I don't know what else to do. And I came up with this idea in my head. I was like, well, your kids need you right now. Cameron needs you because he's breastfeeding. And I had thought for the longest time, I'm like, I just need to hold on as long as Cameron is breastfeeding. I was like, as long as he's doing that, then like I feel needed and I have a reason to keep going. And it was like, I've always been a very type A personality. So when I like am not doing something well, it's almost like even worse. I'm like, oh, great. Like I take it very hard on myself. And it just, I think what, I don't even know that I understood like in the moment is that there was nothing anyone could say that was going to make the situation better. But there were a million things that people would say that could make the situation worse. And I think that's like the position I had put myself in where no one could say anything to make it better. I didn't know how to make it better. And so I did finally like come to this point where, and this was probably like, it's still the hardest thing for me. It's something I still like get upset about is that I had to make a decision for myself to get out of that job. I was like, okay, if I truly can't handle this and this is adding to this terrible situation where I don't feel good and I'm working too much, like maybe I just need to quit my job. And so I went back to my managers and I was like, I don't want to do this. Can I go back to my old role? And it's funny that like I didn't feel very supported in the current role, but I felt very good about like moving back. I had this boss my boss before I had gone on maternity leave, she, she knew through the grapevine, because she's one of the managers, that I was trying to come back to my old job. And she pulled me aside and she's just like, this is not normal. Like, something's going on. Like, you need to tell me what's going on. And I just like burst into tears. And I was like, I've had postpartum depression all year long. Like, I can't handle this role where I'm constantly on the phone, where I'm working 12-hour days. I like go home and sleep all the time. And she didn't say anything. She just looked at me and she said, "Can I give you a hug?" And it was like exactly what I needed in that moment to feel like better about the decision that I was making to basically like
demote yourself.
Demote myself. Yes. And so like I had a lot of people like, and there's a lot of details I'm trying to leave out because I don't want it to look bad like on my employer, because I don't feel that way at all. I felt ways I didn't feel supported. I felt supported by other people. So there's like a lot of minute details I'm leaving out of the situation, but it was just a very bad situation. And it was adding to this fact that I couldn't get over this depression because I was just so stressed out and I was trying my best and wasn't doing my best. And I think finally like making that decision kind of helped me let go. I was like, oh, okay, like I don't have to be everything to everyone. Like I can step back. I can focus on myself. Like this is my career doesn't need to be my whole life anymore. Like I need to focus on getting better. And that's probably the first time in my entire life I've put myself before anybody else. And it's like crazy to think of it that way because like I do so much, but I never took care of myself ever. And it was just 9 to 10 months of me completely not taking care of myself. And there was no amount of like medicine or help that was going to fix that situation. Like I had to come to that realization that I needed to change something. And so I made the decision. I went back. I understood that it was going to look bad, that it was going to hurt my career. But I was just so past the point of caring. Like, I didn't care. I was like, fire me. Like, I just need to feel better. And this isn't making me feel better. And then I remember my new boss, when they moved me back, he was like, "Oh yeah, I feel so lucky like that you're on the team." And I'm like, well, let me tell you why I'm on your team. Like, let's hold off on that. Like, you're dealing with a hot mess right now, and I'm very sorry about that. And like, my poor boss was he's the most like empathetic person in the world. And he was so understanding. And like, I think had I had a different boss, I don't know that I ever would have gotten better because he was just very supportive in the situation and like didn't judge me when I was like bawling in his office about my life.
That's amazing.
And it was just like, it was exactly what I needed when I went back. He completely understood, like, if you need to take a step back, if you just need to coast, like, you do that to get better. Like, you tell me when you want more responsibility and I will gladly give it to you. But if you just need to take a step back, I completely understand that. And so I went into, it was probably around December of 2019. I went back to my old job, new manager, but, doing the same things I'd done before. I didn't have to talk to anybody, which was great because I had spent many hours on phone calls the past 9 months. And I was just so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm back in my old job. I went to my doctor. I finally told him like, whatever I'm on isn't working. We've got to do something else. And he switched up my medicine and I started feeling just so good. And I was so excited. And then COVID hit. I feel like it all just circles back to COVID. And so it was like, oh, I want to feel better, but now I'm just completely isolated again. Like, I finally want to come out of my shell and I'm just completely isolated again. But I think like from there, it only went up from there. Like I've had moments of going back and not feeling very good, but it's not been like the level it was for that whole first year after Cameron's life. And I don't admit it very much, but I don't have a lot of memories of that whole first year. Like all I remember is sitting and staring. and sleeping. There are like whole blocks of time I don't remember. Um, and it's like, I just admitted it to Andy. I was like, I don't know that I've ever cut Cameron's nails. Like little things like that, like I just couldn't do. So someone was doing it, but it wasn't me. And it's just like a lot of the guilt I feel now that I've started to come out of it. And I don't think even truly I started feeling better until like midway through last year. And I just finally like it when you're in such a dark place and you don't realize it, it's hard to know when you're out of it, because I felt like I was never going to get out of it. I felt like, oh my God, this is my whole life. Like I'm just stuck in this constant feeling of like I'm sad and I can't go back to how I used to be and I can't move forward, and you just feel very stuck in all of your emotions. And so, you know, with COVID, it kind of made it more difficult. But then last year, things opened up again. I could like go out. I could see friends. Like we went out drinking. Like we went back to church, and all those little.
I like that drinking was first before church.
Sorry, Jesus.
Lutherans.
And even now, like it's been 3 years, and this is probably the first time I've in depth talked about the whole experience, like that whole first year, and like just how admitting how bad it was, because it's hard. I feel just so guilty about it, and that just makes it worse. Like you're already upset, but then you feel bad because you're not living up to other people's expectations. And so I had started kind of like doing some research and just looking into things of like, well, how do other people deal with this? How are other people affected by mental health after they have a child? And I found this thing called the Blue Dot Project, and I love following it on Facebook. They do a whole campaign during maternal mental health, which is why I'd reached out to you guys, because I saw that it was coming up. And it's like not feeling like you're alone in the situation, which kind of brings me back to my husband saying like, well, does everyone go through this? Is this normal? Like, do people just not talk about it? And we don't talk about it. And it's just, you know, it's very hard to admit to yourself, let alone to other people. But at the same time, like people don't know how to react to you saying that you're depressed. They don't know how to react to you saying, I can't get out of bed. They don't know what to do when you like burst into tears for no reason. And so a lot of it is like, I know a lot of people talk about like the stigma of mental health, and it's not necessarily that I feel like I'm going to be stigmatized. Like I was a little bit by certain people, but it's also like, I don't feel like people understand how to react to it. And that's almost worse than them like pitying you. It's like not knowing how to handle it, and then handling it the wrong way because they're trying to help and they're just like not at all.
Did you ever take advantage of the EAP, or did you talk to anyone at all?
No, I haven't. I've been very hesitant to do therapy, and it's not because I don't agree with it. It was just like I couldn't help myself at that point. And so and I think a lot of people with depression would agree, like just picking up the phone is a chore. Just talking to someone during the day is a chore. Like literally getting out of bed was a chore. And so to add like one more thing to like what I already felt was so daunting was very hard. I have more recently started thinking about going to therapy, because as much as I think I'm over it, there are certain things that will still, like, I hate to use this word, but they'll still trigger me. Like we just got a bunch of new bosses. They did a bunch of changes, and like I have new bosses, and that like set me off. Like, oh my God, I have these new bosses. They're going to ask about what happened during this role and why I was only there for a year. And then I have to tell them, and I don't want to tell them. And it's like, it brought up, and so even now I'm like getting a little upset, because I was like, it brought up just everything flooded back from that year. And I got over it pretty quickly. Like it didn't linger. I've learned to not let things linger because I can't control. So I kind of let go of it. And I was like, okay, I need to give this a chance. But there are still things just like that will just set me off into all of those thoughts again. And I had like a really bad couple weeks because I was just so focused on like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to tell people about this again. Like, I'm going to have to now go tell all of my new managers, because if I don't tell them, maybe someone else will, and they might not be getting the story. You know, they might just be getting the, oh, Chelsea wasn't good at her job. They might not be getting the, oh, Chelsea was suffering from very severe postpartum depression. And it's like, you don't want to bring it up, but you don't want them to think like, oh, I just quit my job after 9 months, you know?
Right. Right. And I think it's definitely getting better in today's society, the stigma on mental health, and especially like depression and anxiety. I think people are becoming more acknowledging of it. Acknowledging?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I make up words and
more aware.
More aware. Yes. Yeah. They're more aware of it, more accepting. But then in the same respect, I think there is still the feeling of, well, just get out of bed, you know, mm-hmm. Go for a run, just go for a run. A run will make you feel better. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people who don't truly understand and think that it's something that you can just
flip a switch.
Right. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. That it almost like it's your own doing, that you just don't feel good because you're not letting yourself feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you feel all of that too. Like, you ask yourself all of those questions when people say it, and like I said, it goes back to the, like, there's nothing you can say right, but you can say a million things wrong. And that was one of the things that people would say to me, like, oh, well, just go for a walk and you'll calm down, or just do this, or, oh, go start exercising. Like, when am I going to exercise? I'm nursing a child like 24/7. Like, I don't want to shower. Like, I'm not right.
Well, and then that just adds to, oh, I'm not exercising now.
Yeah,
so there's another thing.
Now I feel bad about that. And and I think that's the other thing too. It's like, one thing I feel like people should know is, like, there's just, you feel so guilty for being depressed. Like, it feels like a very selfish disease, because you can't do, and you can't help anyone. You can't help yourself. You can't help your partner. Like, you can't help your kids. Like, I was talking to my husband before this, just kind of going through some of the stuff. And I was like, I just feel so guilty because I don't remember parts of Cameron's infancy. I don't remember doing little things like cutting his nails. My daughter, you know, she was 3 or 4. So, you know, becoming more aware of what's going on. She doesn't remember the mom that put her to bed every night and sang to her and brushed her teeth. She remembers the mom that can't get out of bed and is grumpy and is crying. And so, like, you feel just so guilty that you're not doing enough for other people. But I really had to start letting go of that, because I was doing the best I could for myself at the time. And it's like, this makes me cry all the time. It's like, I hope they'll forgive me for, like, putting them through that. Like, I always hope, like, my husband will forgive me for having to deal with me being suicidal for months. Like, I hope my daughter will forgive me for, like, not taking her places and not doing stuff with her for 2 or 3 years of her life. And, like, that's the hard part. It's like, you feel all this guilt for something that you can't control. Like, it's just a chemical imbalance.
Right. Well, and I think that's one of the things too that's difficult for, you know, society, plus the individuals experiencing it, is recognizing it's not a mindset. It's chemical imbalance, it's hormone, you know, it's all of these things that are not controllable. And the fact that you've come through this, I think that your daughter and your son are going to look at you and have respect for you. You're a stronger person because of this, and you're going to be a stronger mom and individual because of this. And I mean, I think anybody who goes through any kind of a situation where there's a mental health crisis or mental health, what's the word I'm looking for? Struggles, that when you get through it, and as you're going through it, and as you're starting to kind of recognize what's happening, you start to feel more empowered, and then you can look at it and you can hold your head higher. And those people, I think, are some of the most amazing and strong and well-balanced people because they've been through this.
Another
Go
thing
ahead.
about mental health too is no one can see it. So when you're talking, like, I mean, if you were missing an arm, people would be like, oh, I understand. Please rest. Please don't do anything. Please sit there. But because it's in your head and no one can actually see it, it's so much different.
And
it's just
I had become so good at faking it that even when my old boss, that moment where she gave me a hug, like, she was like, Chelsea, had you not said anything, I would have never known. And I had other coworkers say the same thing. Like, I would have never known if you didn't talk about it, because you just kind of went on like everything was great and you put a smile on your face. And like, yeah, that's all well and good, but like, it's not if it's to the point where I can't even go home and look at myself, like if I'm going home and like wanting to die because I can't keep this up, like that's not good for anybody. So it's like this fine line of like, I didn't want anyone, and again, it goes back to my type A personality. I don't want anyone else to feel uncomfortable. Like, I want to pretend like everything's perfect and maybe everything will be perfect. And that doesn't work, like, clearly.
Right. So did Andy at the time, did he know how severe it was?
I think he did. I think he didn't want to admit it, really. Like, he didn't want to bring it up and make it worse because
Real?
Yes, make it real. Exactly, because he was basically doing both of our job. Like, he, other than breastfeeding Cameron, like, he had to take on everything. And so I don't think he could mentally handle, I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think he could mentally handle the idea that I was really going down that dark of a hole. And it's weird because like, I was recently out somewhere with like a group of people and I had seen someone, she has many kids, many only a year apart, and I could just see the look on her face. And I was like, she is struggling. Like, is anyone talking to her? Is anyone helping her? And like, even in that situation, I'd been in that situation and I was afraid to say something to her. And it's like, I could see her husband too. And like, and it always goes back to that, I feel guilty about doing that to my husband because I could see her husband was struggling too. Like, he didn't know what to do. He wasn't going to talk about it. He wasn't going to make it worse, but like, everyone knew there was a problem, but no one would say anything. And I think the good thing is like, Andy, while he didn't want to know all the details, he would say something. Like, he went to doctor's appointments with me and he would say like, this is what I see. And it was things I didn't even realize I was doing, that like staring off into space for hours and like not showering. And, so I think he having such a supportive partner, like, I think he did know, but like you said, he didn't want to make it real because he needed to also survive through this with me.
Did anyone know, was he the person you confided in the most? Did you have anyone else to talk to about all of this?
I had some friends who I would kind of tell like, oh, I have postpartum depression, but nobody outside of Andy knew how bad it was.
And I think postpartum depression, it has so many different levels of how severe it can get. Mm-hmm. So, if you did tell a friend, they may just be like, oh, okay, so she's just a little blue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They don't necessarily understand it if they haven't gone through it. But mm-hmm. I will say the people I did tell out, the few friends I told, were very nice about it. They were like, you don't have to do all of this. Like, this should be a factor in how you're evaluated at work. And this should be a factor in, being able to work at all. Like, because I was really to the point where I was like, maybe I just need to go on disability. Maybe that's what I should have done looking back. Like, I had no business trying to work and fix myself at the same time. Like, and I do wish I had someone at that point who had gone through it, who could kind of point that out to me. Like, this is a disability. And if people can't see it, it doesn't change the fact that you can't do something. And at that point, like, I shouldn't have been working, but my type A personality, like, I'm going to go keep on working. Like,
are you aware of any support groups or anything?
So I had looked into things like locally, and I couldn't really find anything locally. So I kind of stuck to what I could handle. And it was like, all right, well, I'm on social media a lot. So I'll look into those as support groups, and I'll see what other people are going through, because at least I won't feel alone if I can at least see that other people are going through it. I don't need to be with them, but it does kind of make you want to start a support group. And I remember at one point during, it might have even been before I had Cameron, I had seen this story about this woman who had postpartum psychosis and ended up committing suicide because she had the psychosis, and they couldn't fix it. And her husband had started this like maternity support group at the local hospital. I think it was in Pittsburgh, actually, because I probably found it on a Pittsburgh site link. And I was like, oh my God, why don't we have this everywhere? Like, why don't we have somewhere where moms can just come and like sit? Because as much as people say it takes a village, like it's very isolating to be a parent. And like, honestly, I think until I started going to church with you guys, I didn't have very many like friends outside of work that I would just go hang out with. Like, I didn't have friends with kids. And I think a lot of that helped me too. Like going and feeling connected with people and knowing like, oh, hey, like I'm not just sitting here by myself. And yes, my kids are crazy. I'm not the only one.
I mean, we are all so like overbearingly real.
Actually, now that I'm thinking back, I did have a friend who had gone through postpartum depression, and I think she took medicine and was able to get over it pretty quickly. So I felt even more like something was wrong with me because I wasn't getting over it very quickly. It really took a long time. And again, that was, my husband was saying, well, was it still postpartum depression or was it your job mixed in? And I was like, I think they kind of contributed. Like I maybe would have gotten over my postpartum depression had I not been in that job. And I maybe would have been better at that job and could have handled the stress better if I didn't have postpartum depression. So it's just like this perfect storm of feelings. But I did have a friend who had it before, and I probably should have reached out to her more because she's always so open. Like we laugh about our kids all the time, like having like, because we joke about having a third kid, and she was like, it's a zoo. Like adding that third kid is just a complete game changer. And so you're right. Like I probably should have reached out to people more, but it goes back to that. I didn't want to do anything. And that's the hard part, like about depression. You kind of need people who realize what's happening to pull you and make you do things.
Could you tell there was a difference because you said you struggled with depression and anxiety before? Could you tell a difference between prior to and the postpartum?
Yeah, it was different. Because I could still like function pretty normally. I would just, I wasn't necessarily always happy and I would have bouts of feeling sad, but I could still function. When I had postpartum depression, I could not function. There was just no getting around it. And it was actually maybe a year before I had Cameron where I had a migraine so bad that I ended up in the ER thinking I had a stroke. And my doctor was like, is this like, do you have severe anxiety? Are you stressed at work? And that's kind of when it first came out, because I just thought it was my personality. Like, I thought like, oh, I'm just stressed out. This is my personality because I like to do things. And he's like, sounds like you have generalized anxiety and you might want to like fix that. And that's when I realized, and I took medicine and I started feeling better and I felt better very quickly. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I can stop taking medicine and get pregnant. And then I always kind of go back to that thought of like, well, had I stayed on my medicine, would I have gone through all of this? So there's just like a lot of that back and forth, but it was definitely a different feeling.
Again, with a varying degrees of postpartum depression and psychosis, even you hear stories of moms who feel disconnected from their children, or even, have a dislike or feel like they may even endanger their child. Did you ever get to that point? You don't have to answer that if you don't.
No, and I'm actually glad you brought that up because it kind of points out how different it can be for people. I actually feel like I had a very strangely tight connection with Cameron despite all of this. Like he was my reason for going on and for like getting up every day. And that's a lot to put on a baby. Like I understand that, but it was just, I was overly connected to him, I think. It was almost like the opposite of what other people go through. Like I relied so much on him needing me. And it's really strange to like our connection. I never understood when people said like, "Oh, I can tell what's wrong with my baby when they cry." Like I could always tell. Like he's hungry, he needs a diaper, he needs like it was that kind of level. And we could be in separate rooms and I would start going into like a crying mode and he would be in the other room and he would start crying. It was very like a weird thing. And I'm actually really grateful because there's already so much guilt about like not feeling connected with my daughter during that point. To like not feel connected with him probably would have been too much.
How old's your daughter?
She's 7.
So for resources, you mentioned there weren't there, locally, not really any support groups. And then you said you found the Blue Dot Project on Facebook, or is it like?
Yeah, I think I was like looking up maternal mental health and I like stumbled across something called the Blue Dot Project. And it was started by this woman. She has like a blue dot that shows that she had suffered from like maternal mental health issues. And they do a lot to kind of bring light to the situation. So every week they have like a Making Over Motherhood week. I think this year's is about like the intersection of maternal mental health and substance abuse and how that can kind of intertwine. But they have a different theme every year. Like last year was Making Over Motherhood. But yeah, I stumbled across it. And, it's not even that I necessarily participate in everything that they're doing. You can, and you can donate and you can get like super involved with all of their projects about bringing light to this. But it's even just the stories that they'll share on there, like even just little memes about like, I was so good at pretending I wasn't hurt that like, I forgot I was hurt and like, it wasn't, things like that are like, oh, I feel that too. Like I really connect to things like that. And that's why I think after 3 years, I'm finally ready to talk about it because I'm not in it anymore. I can look back and I can say like, oh my God, that was a terrible time. Like, I don't know how I'm still here, but I'm still here.
Is there anything that you would change? I mean, obviously if you could say just not go through it at all, but with what you did, or would you have done anything differently?
Yeah, to be honest, I think looking back, I would have and I should have taken time off. Like I should not have been working. I should have been taking time to like get my medicines right and to be like getting the therapy I probably needed at that point and to just recover from what I was going through and just get back to a point where I felt good. I really wish that I had done that. And I don't think enough people realize like that is an option. If you have diagnosed depression, you are ADA qualified, like you can take disability.
Do you have any specific advice you would give to new moms?
Make sure you have support. Like I know that it can be overbearing to like have people show up at the hospital and to have people at your house, but it makes all the difference. Like not feeling alone is a really big part of motherhood. And I don't think that we focus on the community around us enough when we're moms. I think we tend to think we're going to do it all, but you don't have to do it all. Like,
and I think adding on to that too, one reason why I never wanted to have anyone come over is because I kept thinking, well, my house isn't clean. I am wearing like the same clothes I wore yesterday and there's spit up on me somewhere and milk probably saw me somewhere. And I was just always worried about presentation and thinking that if someone's coming over to my house, I'm supposed to be the hostess and entertain them. And I think that new moms need to, who cares? That's not why people are not coming over to judge your house or to judge you. They're here to see the baby. They're here, there to help you. And I do think that's one thing that women just don't do enough is to accept
the help,
the help.
Mm-hmm.
somebody wants to hold your baby for 20 minutes, you get a quick 20-minute cat nap, do it.
Yeah.
It's tough. I think now that we've convinced anybody who's not had a baby yet to maybe rethink things.
One of the best things like people did for me when my kids were born was they brought me food. Like they brought me like these frozen like chicken wraps. Or like just throw them in the microwave for like 2 minutes. It'll be fine. You'll need it. And I was like, I don't need this. I'll be fine. I can do it. No.
Or just
those were a godsend.
Snacks within reaching distance. Like you're just sitting there like nursing this baby you don't want to break, and then you're dying of thirst and starving, and you just sit there and you're like, oh, it's 2 a.m. I wish I had a granola bar.
How do you feel now that you shared it and you know that people are going to hear it?
It kind of feels like a relief. Like I definitely don't feel as nervous about it as I did earlier, and I've wanted to share the story for a very long time, but it's just, like I said, it's not something you just like put out there on Facebook. Like, hey, here's this terrible experience in my life. And I know that like I've like written so many posts and just like deleted them, or when memories show up and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this was such a like I can remember exactly how I felt this day, because it was probably a bad day. I remember most of the bad days. I don't remember the good days from that first year, which, sucks. But it just like, I don't realize that I was fully out of it until kind of recently. And it's just all these little things where I was like, oh yeah, like this is fun again. Like
it's very brave of you to share this with us. No, it really is. It really is. It's a hard thing to talk about, especially when your mind goes to such a dark spot.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's such a thoughts of like, I don't want to be alive anymore. Like that's just, it's really hard to say it out loud. So
yeah.
It's super brave. That's awesome. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on.
And thanks for letting me share. Like, I'm really glad I finally did it and talked about it.
Right. I didn't know. Jessica was like, what are we talking about? And I'm like, maternal mental health, but I'm not really sure the details of what happened. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much, because this is definitely a topic that is not talked about enough.
Mm-hmm. And needs to be.
Mm-hmm. And it needs to be. Mm-hmm. So I really do appreciate you coming on. That's really awesome and brave, like Jessica said.
Sometimes where I'm like, well, maybe I should have started going to therapy. Like maybe it would have gotten me out of my head a little more. Mm-hmm. And so I do always kind of wonder what's the perspective from that side, because I've had friends who go to therapy and they're like, well, I feel like I went for a couple weeks and I got what I was going to get out of it. But it was like very specific, short-lived situations that had a defined start and end. Like, mm-hmm. Busy times of work where they get really stressed out. But like, things like actually being depressed for multiple, how do counselors handle that kind of situation? Like, I don't know that side of it. I just took a bunch of pills, and I'm proud to say I take pills, and I tell everyone, I'm like, oh, I have a happy pill for that.
I would say it depends on the therapist and it depends on the person. Like you could be with a therapist for like 4 years and, still working through some of the stuff, mm-hmm. or you could, it could be short term.
So one thing I do have to include this, because I did tell, and I forgot to tell Jessica that we're going to do this. So, so I was reading like how to do good interviews, and one is like maybe have a signature question that you ask everybody. And since we have the Do This With Me segment, I thought maybe it would be a fun question to ask our guests is, what is your favorite self-care practice?
I take the term self-care very loosely. Like, getting my morning Starbucks is my self-care. Like, that's what I need in the morning. I don't feel guilty. Like, I don't care what I could do with the $50 a week I'm spending on lattes. Like, that's my cathartic release. And even at work, like, that's where I go when I need to de-stress. And so I think your whole self-care doesn't have to be, oh, I go to a spa or I work out. Like, I found that just that simple thing is like enough to like, this is for me. I'm doing this for me. No one can interrupt my Starbucks. Like, that's my self-care.
I love that. That's a great answer. And it is like, self-care doesn't have to be something like earth shattering, but that's what's important. Leslie, I think you guys probably have to work.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. It was so great to talk to you. Yes.
It really was. Thank you, Chelsea.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Chelsea, thank you again so very, very much for sharing your situation.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So brave. So awesome.
And again, like we've said throughout this entire episode, it's not talked about enough, which is kind of surprising. I almost said. Given that there are quite a few celebrities who have come forward and acknowledged their postpartum depression that they
Really?
experienced. Yeah.
Like who?
Let me share some with you.
Tell me now.
I'll tell you right now. Reese Witherspoon.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. So she had 3 children. And I'm not sure which order she experienced this in. One, she had no maternal mental health disorder whatsoever. One of them, she experienced mild postpartum depression. And not third in birth order, but another one of the 3, she experienced severe postpartum depression to where she had to be quoted heavily medicated in order to get through. There is Angel Baladi Prinsloo. I think that's how you say Adam Levine's
I have no idea.
Wife or baby mama. I'm not.
I have no idea who she is even.
She's a model. She's done Victoria's Secret. She was a Victoria's Secret angel. But she did have a child with Adam Levine, and she said that she had moments of postpartum depression. Chrissy Teigen was pretty vocal about her experiences. She said she had postpartum depression to where everyone around her knew before she knew she had it. And she had to be medicated as well. And the medications helped her tremendously. Drew Barrymore with her. I said it weird.
You did.
I'm not, but because I started reading something else. I read to like the next person's name, and I kind of.
You better keep that in.
I will. I want to. Drew Barrymore. Okay. So Drew said with her second child, she had about 6 months of postpartum depression. And Adele, well, I guess let me go to the next person that I was mixing
sure.
with. Actress Bryce Dallas. So I think I was going to say Drew Barry Bryce or something. I'm not sure. But she was in the Jurassic, the one with Chris Pratt.
Oh, okay. Was she the redhead? She's
the redhead, yes.
Okay.
So in 2010, she experienced severe postpartum depression to where she described she was emotionally amnesic, to where it sounds kind of similar to how Chelsea was saying she doesn't recall so many moments. Right. And she had to, she went on a homeopathic treatment that was supported by her doctor or midwife, all of her friends. It sounded like she had a lot of support. Adele also experienced postpartum depression, and she wasn't able to get through it until she started speaking to other friends. And then thereby they all started realizing that they each experienced some peripartum or postpartum depression. She went to one of them and she said, "I effing hate this." And her friend looked at her and burst into tears and said, "I effing hate this too." And Adele said that was the first step to get her crossing over to the upslope, I guess, of it. Probably one of the most famous postpartum depression situations is Brooke Shields. And she was made it.
I don't remember this at all.
Oh, she came forward and she wrote a book called Down Came the Rain, My Journey Through Postpartum Depression. She was on Oprah Winfrey, and she said, at one point she said she had no desire to even pretend to care about her daughter. And I don't know where Tom Cruise actually said this, but I didn't even look it up where Tom Cruise, who he spoke to, who said this to, or exactly what he said, because quite frankly, I don't care exactly what his words were, but I just remember he completely shamed Brooke Shields for her postpartum depression.
Wow.
Depression cases. And there's also postpartum psychosis. And one of the possibly the most infamous case is Andrea Yates. I don't know if you recall this, actually happened in Houston, Texas in 2001 when she drowned her 5 kids.
Oh, I do remember that story.
And she was suffering from postpartum depression that then progressed into, I guess it progresses into postpartum psychosis, but she also had a diagnosis of schizophrenia. And prior to drowning her 5 kids, she attempted suicide, I think, a few times. There's also Jenny Gibbs Bankston in 2007. 6 weeks postpartum, she shot herself and her newborn son.
Oh my goodness.
And I believe I'm not sure if it was her husband, but I believe her family did start a foundation to start to bring more awareness and support for women. And then I also have Charlene my handwriting's atrocious. I think it's Ventanilla, Ventanilla. I don't think that's an R to begin with. I think it's a V. In 2016, her husband found her slumped over her 2-year-old's bed after stabbing herself and their 8-week-old child to death.
Oh my gosh.
And apparently there was some controversy that her contraception could have possibly played a role in that, which still, I guess, there's ongoing investigation trying to find out if there's an identifiable, like, pinpointed cause, which I don't think there is. I think there are just too many factors that play into it. So one thing I meant to say at the beginning, which I guess it doesn't really matter, I can talk about it now. There are quite a few maternal mental health conditions. So the baby blues is fairly common, and it's up to 80. Actually, I should cite my story. This is 2020mom.org. There are up to 80% of women will experience the baby blues, and so that's felt to be secondary to the shifts in hormones. And there's, mood swings, sad, crying. I mean, it's difficult. You have sleep deprivation plus the hormone wackiness. And the blues are not considered to be a disorder as long as it resolves within a few days. If it lasts more than 2 weeks, then it's felt to be more of a postpartum depression. And it is treatable. There's medications, homeopathy, counseling, support through friends, family, and whomever. Symptoms for depression, maternal depression, can range from mild to severe, and it's felt to be more common in women who have experienced depression prior to pregnancy. And the symptoms can include sadness, trouble concentrating, difficulty finding joy in activities that used to give you joy, and difficulty bonding with the baby. There is maternal dysthymia.
Yes.
And it's defined as a low mood occurring for at least 2 years with at least 2 other symptoms of depression. Is that similar to
regular dysthymia?
Okay. And women with pre-existing dysthymia, you don't dysthymia. Might be at higher risk for severe symptoms. And there's anxiety. So anxiety can affect up to 15% of women and is also treatable. And symptoms can include restlessness, racing heartbeat, inability to sleep, extreme worry about the what ifs.
I do want to say that you can have traits of these diagnoses and not have the actual disease. And so if you notice those, like, definitely go talk to a medical or mental health professional to try to see if you have it. But some of these things are just, I don't want to say common, but are not unnatural to have following a child as well.
Right. You mean when your world is turned upside down? There's also birth-related PTSD. So women who have flashbacks by either actual events or perceived trauma that they experienced. And of course, birth loss and grief, miscarriage or stillbirth, they're also at risk. We can't forget about them. They're also at risk for developing postpartum mental health disorders. I would imagine probably more so just because of the drama of losing drama and trauma of losing a child. There's postpartum mania, so extreme insomnia, and feels elated, enthusiastic, and it's not necessarily dangerous, but if they're not getting enough sleep, then they can be more prone to developing other mental health disorders, including psychosis. And of course, postpartum psychosis, like we talked about, those, 3 severe cases. And postpartum psychosis is rare, and it occurs in approximately 1 to 2 out of 1,000 deliveries. So just a small percentage. The onset's typically sudden, most often within the first 2 weeks postpartum. And the most significant risk factors are personal or family history of bipolar disorder or a previous psychotic episode. And this is a medical emergency due to the potential harm a mom can cause to herself or her baby. So quickly, Chelsea mentioned there wasn't a lot of local support for her, but look and see if you have a local support group. I did look up when she was speaking of the Blue Dot Project on Facebook. Be careful if you're looking for that. There are Blue Dot projects, and a lot of them, I think, you don't have to be so careful. I think a lot of them have to do with supporting law enforcement, but it's specifically the Blue Dot Project. And I went ahead, actually, if you go to our Facebook page and if you see what pages we like, Another Situation does like the Blue Dot Project. But that's one resource you can look into. But I just wanted to also mention, for if you are not in crisis and you just need postpartum support, there is www.postpartum.net, where you can find treatment resources, encouragement, extra information, local, national resources for support. And you can call or text their helpline. For English speakers, it's 1-800-944-4773. And Spanish speakers can call 1-800-944-4773. That's the exact same number. Now, if you are suicidal or in severe distress, you can call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline
at 1-800-273-8255.
And to remember that, it's 800-273-TALK, TALK.
And in July, that's actually going to move to a 3-digit. It's going to be a #988. And starting in July.
And there's the Suicide Prevention Lifeline.org. Oh, yeah. And it says actually right here, by July 16th, 2022, 988 will be implemented. And that's nationwide. Is on your side. That's nationwide in the United States. So let's specify that. There is a chat feature actually also on the suicidepreventionlifeline.org page. So again, if you are looking for help for yourself, or if you know of someone that needs help, go ahead and do that non-emergent information we gave you. Otherwise, there's a suicide prevention line. There's 911, or whichever country you're in, whichever emergency number you have.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for listening, and
thank you.
Use the resources if you have it, and reach out to someone who has just had a baby and check in with them, see if there's anything they need.
Yes. And because a lot of women are not going to ask.
Mm-hmm. And if you've had a child and you've had some of these experiences, opening up about your own might make someone feel more comfortable to share theirs.
And you guys, if you want to start a support group, if you realize you don't have one locally, do it. And I mean, you can always reach out to us. I don't know that we can try to find some additional resources for you or see you got, I mean, use our Facebook page. That's what it's there for too. Start up a chat about maternal mental health and let's get people connected with each other and support each other. Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, hold up. Before we close this out, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. And we don't have an episode for teachers because we just did the kindergarten one, but we do love all teachers, you guys. Preschool, kindergarten, high school, college, grad school. Teachers, we love you. Thank you.
For all you do and all you put up with.
Nurses, hang tight. Your episode's next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's it.
All right. See you next week.
Thanks for listening. Rate, review, subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.
If you'd like to reach out to us or submit your situation, please contact us at anothersituationpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Another Situation Podcast. We're also on Facebook at Another Situation.
Another Situation is produced and edited by Point 5 Pinoy. Music is written and performed by Tim Crow.